Sri Lanka too is struggling to shake off Chinese influence, but it's only sinking deeper into Chinese debt. Colombo's foreign reserves are dwindling. Today, a Chinese delegation led by a top member of the Communist Party swooped in to help. Our next report tells you more.
The world knows little about Yang Jiechi, but when his name appears in Chinese press releases, China means business. Yang is widely considered as the highest-ranking diplomat in the Communist Party. He is leading a delegation-level visit to Colombo, and that too in the middle of the pandemic. What was the urgency? Colombo wants more money. Sri Lanka faces serious economic challenges. Ratings agency Moody's has downgraded Sri Lanka's credit rating by 2 notches. The rating, CAA1, means the credit risk is very high. Colombo is expecting help from China. It wants the second tranche of a $1.2 billion syndicated Chinese loan. Colombo has received the first tranche of $500 million in March. The pandemic has hit Sri Lanka hard. Its foreign reserves are dwindling. As of May this year, Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has reached out to Beijing twice for help. First, China gave Sri Lanka an urgent loan of $500 million. According to reports, these funds were for the fight against the Wuhan virus. Then, Sri Lankan lawmakers approved a decision to borrow $80 million more from the China Development Bank. This money was for the road projects. The International Monetary Fund estimates that by the end of this year, Sri Lanka's net government borrowing will rise to 9.4% of its GDP. There is a hole in the Sri Lankan government's budget, and Colombo is taking more money from Beijing to fill it. Sri Lanka has a huge debt bill for this year. According to a report, Colombo must repay $4.8 billion. Sri Lanka owes a large chunk of this to China. The pandemic has hit government revenues. There is a possibility that Sri Lanka might fall short. By 2018, Sri Lanka owed about $5 billion to China. In 2017, China wrote off $1.1 billion worth of debt in exchange for the rights to the Hambantota port for a 99-year lease. The same port that has now become a symbol of the Chinese debt trap. With the Hambantota port deal, Colombo effectively conceded a part of its sovereign territory to China in exchange for debt relief. But the relief didn't last long. A year later, Sri Lanka borrowed $1 billion again for 8 years. By last year, China accounted for 15% of Sri Lanka's bilateral debt. More loans are putting pressure on Sri Lanka's finances. Earlier this year, the country's top civil servant made an appeal to all public sector workers. He wanted them to donate their entire salary or a part of it in the name of social responsibility. Sri Lanka still needs more money to pay back Chinese loans. For the Rajapaksas, the solution is to double down on Chinese cash. Sri Lanka is now vulnerable to a bigger Chinese takeover. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Thank you for watching Gravitas on WION's YouTube channel. If you want to stay up to date with what's happening around the world, then subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like and share. Thank you very much for watching WION, World is One.